Hi, everybody, and welcome to Lovefraud Live. My sociopathic ex-husband was never abusive to me the way that many other survivors of sociopaths have reported abuse. The truth is that some sociopaths can treat people reasonably well for an extended period of time if it suits their agenda. I'm Donna Andersen, author of Lovefraud.com, and tonight I'll explain how sociopaths can keep the charade going for a while. This is the live streaming show, and I'll answer your questions at the end of this short presentation. Now, to ask a question, we're asking you to please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done that. You need to do that in order to ask a question or participate in the chat. Okay, so back to the topic. I was with my sociopathic ex-husband, James Montgomery, for 2.5 years. During that time, I knew he was costing me money, but he kept telling me that the reason his big business plans weren't working out was because he was ahead of his time. Well, I eventually discovered that Montgomery was lying and cheating on me. But although I saw eruptions of anger from time to time, my ex was never abusive towards me. Nothing like the physical, verbal, and emotional abuse that many of you have endured. Montgomery frequently acted like a regular human being. Other Lovefraud readers have had similar experiences. One woman wrote and told me that her relationship wasn't disastrous, although she eventually discovered that her husband was cheating on her. So she asked a question: how do you reconcile the basically happy marriage with the horrible monster that he became, creating turmoil and trying to harm your child? Well, I'll get to this reader's question in a minute. But first I want to review some of the information from the first of my 7 or 8 or 9 surveys that I did with people who were involved with sociopaths. Now, one objective of that initial survey was to investigate how often sociopaths expressed love. We asked the question: did the individual you were involved with verbally express love or caring to you? Well, 85% of the survey respondents said yes. And when the survey respondents were describing their spouses or romantic partners rather than parents, children, or others, 92% of the males and 95% of the females expressed love verbally. And how often did this happen? Well, 44% of survey respondents said the sociopathic individual expressed love every day. The survey also asked respondents to describe the way the person they were involved with expressed love and how it changed over the course of the relationship. Now, I've heard all kinds of stories about the games sociopaths play in relationships, yet some of the answers to this question still made my jaw drop. A small group of survey respondents reported that the sociopaths completely changed their behavior the moment they were committed to the relationship, when they moved in, got married, or got pregnant. Now, here are some of their exact words that the survey respondents told me. Here's the first one. Initially, there were dates, flowers, gifts, and little thoughtfulnesses. After I married him, he said on the honeymoon, "I can stop acting now." I thought he was joking. I later learned that he did not do jokes. Here's another one. From very loving to cold indifference. It started right after we were married. The change was startling. Here's another one. It changed the minute we got married. Then he owned me, you see. I was nothing to him after he lured me in. All he wanted was money. And here's another one. This one's a little long, but it's amazing. In the beginning of the relationship, before marriage, he was loving, caring, and could not do enough for me. He called me his soulmate, his true companion in life. That continued until the day I married him. Within hours after the wedding ceremony, his personality shifted. It was as if I had dated and fallen in love with one person, but married someone I was completely unfamiliar with. He was a stranger to me in all ways. This startling total change was reported in reference to 7% of the female sociopaths and 5% of the males. What does this mean? It means that the sociopaths were engaged in a charade, pretending to be loving and caring until they had their target well and truly hooked. Then the charade was over. So, back to our reader's question, which was, how do you reconcile the basically happy marriage with the horrible monster he became? Well, the man this reader saw during the happy part of the marriage did not exist. It was an act, a charade, a mirage that the sociopath kept going until it no longer served his purpose. The real man was the horrible monster. So that's tonight's presentation. Next, I'll answer your questions. So again, please be sure to subscribe so you can participate in the chat or ask a question. You only need to be a member for 1 minute. So hopefully you can do that. Anyway, when you subscribe, you'll automatically be notified about all my new videos. Plus, you'll help to boost the distribution of Lovefraud Live, which is why I'm asking you to do this, so that you can help spread the word about the dangerous sociopaths who live among us. And we've also implemented Super Chat, and I see we got a Super Chat. Thank you very much. And this offers you the opportunity to contribute to Lovefraud's work, and I really appreciate the donations that we've received so far. There's also a link below the video window where you can make a tax-deductible contribution to Lovefraud's education programs if you want. So let's see what we have going here. Okay, Michelle has a question. Wow, thank you so much, Michelle. Oh, I look beautiful tonight. Thank you for that. Can you share when you expect your book on aging sociopath to be available? Thank you again. Well, thanks for asking about that. I am working very diligently to finish up the last chapter, so it's definitely coming along. I'm hoping within maybe 6 weeks or something like that. By the time I finish the writing and then do an edit and then get the design done, but I'm really pushing hard to get this done soon. But thank you so much for asking about that. The information is just unbelievable stuff, and there's nothing like this out there, so I'm really looking forward to getting it out. Okay, so we had a question also from Peter, who was the first person to put a chat in, and he has a female friend who wants to get away from the guy, and so he asked if he can confront him and tell him that he doesn't get away with what he is doing. And I responded a little bit in the chat, but I'll elaborate on that. The key is for your female friend to absolutely make up her mind that she is done. She has to do that. That part of it is her responsibility. And what that means is that she needs to decide that it's over, and then she needs to implement no contact, which means she doesn't talk to the guy, she doesn't open his emails, she doesn't read his text messages, she blocks everything, she certainly doesn't see this person, and she has to make that decision. Now, you can absolutely support her in that, and You could, I suppose, if the guy tries to get in touch with your friend after she has made it clear that she wants nothing to do with him, perhaps then you could say something, although, I mean, you didn't tell me more about the dynamics of the situation. You know, I mean, is the guy violent? Would this be like waving a red flag in front of a bull? I mean, would it make things worse? So it all kind of depends on the situation. You can certainly support your friend. Probably one of the things that would be helpful is to keep her distracted, because sometimes when someone has been romantically involved with someone, it can be very difficult to break it off, and because there might be a trauma bond, and if that's the case, then your friend may feel compelled to reach out to the person. So the beginning can be kind of tricky, where you're trying to, really get a new behavior pattern going, where, you're trying to separate from this person and keep the person out of your life. So, I mean, that is certainly something that you could do, is to, be encouraging and to help distract her, or even, watch movies together, or anything, just to keep her mind off of it, at least in the beginning, would be helpful. So I hope that answers your question, and hopefully it'll give you some guidance as far as how you can support your friend. So let me see what else we might have. So Angel Marie asks, how can you possibly know that they are lying if you never see the mask slip? Yeah, I mean, that's one of the problem with lies, is that you don't necessarily know that they're lying. So that's why it becomes very important to learn how to trust your instincts. We all have an intuition, we all have instincts, we all have a gut feeling. Unfortunately, we are not taught to pay attention to them, but our instincts and our intuition are actually the best indication that we will have that something is wrong. Now, not only are we not taught to pay attention to our instincts, but we get the opposite message. We get messages like, everybody deserves the benefit of the doubt, and everybody's innocent until proven guilty, which is good in a court of law, but not necessarily good if you're trying to figure out how to deal with somebody that you're involved with. So it becomes important to catch those little intuitions, those little hits that you might get, where where they might say something and you go, huh, what was that? Or, ooh, that doesn't quite seem right. Or, that did he really mean that? Didn't he say the other thing before? So, I mean, you really have to pay attention to those times where you get this sudden, fleeting hint that things are not on the up and up. Because they're good. I mean, they're actually very, very good liars, and most human beings cannot pick out a lie. In fact, there's actually been research done on this, and the research shows that human beings can spot a lie only 53% of the time. So, I mean, that's like half. It's not any better than flipping a coin. But your intuition can help you. So you do need to be able to pay attention to your intuition. Now, that's another reason why it's important to be work on your healing, because sometimes you need to be calm and centered in order to be able to hear your intuition. And if we're suffering from PTSD, if we're all worked up, we're hypervigilant, and then everything seems like it's a problem. And so your intuition isn't really working as well as it should in those situations. So there's a couple of things then. The first is to pay attention to your intuition, and the second is to, work on your healing and recovery so that you feel balanced enough that you can actually hear your intuition. because then it will serve you the way it should. Okay. Okay, so Too Exclusive asks, do narc sociopaths leave you alone if you put them in jail? If they've been quiet and haven't bothered you, is that a good sign? Or will there be a return? Well, it's not all sociopaths are the same. So essentially, you need to know the person that you're dealing with. Now, sometimes jail helps. Absolutely. You know, at least they, you know, unless they're a mob boss that has, you know, people he controls on the outside, and then might not be as effective. But, you know, for most people, once they're in jail, that keeps them away for a while. However, I have heard of stalkers who go to jail, do their time, and then get out and resume the stalking. I mean, it's amazing. So it does really depend on the person. Some, yeah, you know, you put them in jail, that's the end of it. Others, they're crazy. Okay, so, and the second part of your question, which was, oh, if they're quiet. Quiet can be good. It can be that you are, that they're finally, you know, had enough and they're leaving you alone. But sometimes they can be quiet for a long time and then just show up again. And it's amazing because sociopaths often seem to have this sixth sense of when you might be amenable to talking to them again. I mean, I've definitely heard of people who've been gone for 6 months and then the sociopath shows up, or they've been gone for 1.5 years and then they show up. And I've heard of people who thought that they had recovered enough, that they were strong enough that, well, okay, we can be friends. Bad idea. Always, always, always a bad idea. So the key here is that you need to make up your mind that you are done with this person and that you will have nothing more to do with him or her ever again. And you need to be firm in your decision. And then, as I talked to Peter, you have to be able to go no contact and, you know, refuse to have any involvement with the person at all. The other thing is that, again, this is another reason why your own recovery is so important, because when you recover, your internal energy shifts and you don't have that vulnerable negative energy inside, which is what the sociopath latches onto. So the best thing you can do is get that person out of your life however you can. If he goes to jail, if he deserves it, good, because plenty of people who should be in jail are not, and if he ends up in jail, that's good. But then again, you need to make up your mind that you are finished, you will have nothing more to do with this person, and then you need to work on your own recovery so that you are balanced and ready to move forward in your life without this person. Okay. All right, so Demi says she's been involved with an overt narcissist, and he's giving her the silent treatment for over 2 months. I recently blocked him, and how do I stay strong and keeping no contact? Well, first of all, I'm glad he's giving you the silent treatment, because that helps you to give him the silent treatment. So this is good. This is good. You know, if he's away, this is good. Again, staying strong means working on your own recovery. So the longer you are away from this person, the more his grip on you will dissipate. You know, and the thing is, like, when you're involved with no contact, you have to be pretty strict about that. What that means is that, I mean, not only are you not talking or not texting messages or anything, but it also means that you're not visiting his social media pages, you're not driving by his house to see if he's home, you're not doing any of these things that keeps you in contact with him, even if you're not talking to the person. It is really an internal healing and an internal decision that you're going to put yourself first. I mean, the guy's an overt narcissist, covert narcissist, whatever kind of narcissist he is not going to change. I mean, that's the thing about this disorder, is that once you're an adult, there is no recovery, or it just doesn't happen. So it's up to you to be firm and make sure that you have decided that you're done with him. And then you do anything you can to distract yourself. If you ever feel the urge to contact the person, I know people have come up with all kinds of things. Lots of people have told me that they would come to Lovefraud and read Lovefraud just to keep reminding themselves about what a creep these people are. I've heard of people who put the rubber band around their wrist, so every time that the thought of him crosses the mind, they snap the rubber band, so you hurt yourself a little bit. Just minor. This is not major. I also heard of a woman who kept a backpack full of rocks in her living room, and every time she felt like that she started wishing for this person, she put the backpack on to remind herself of what a burden he was. I also heard of people who did things to distract themselves. One woman used to just keep doing jigsaw puzzles because it just kept her going while her brain was decompressing from everything that was happening. Definitely see other people, and I mean, as friends or family members. I mean, definitely do things to keep you busy. And then anything that you need to do to work on your own recovery. If you're in therapy with a therapist who gets it, because not all of them do, but if you have a good therapist, that's good. You kind of have to wait it out, and 2 months, it's a good start, but it actually isn't all that long, especially if you were involved with this person for a long time. So, you just take it day by day. What happens is, if you're trying to look down the road and say, I'm never going to talk to this person again, that can feel kind of overwhelming. So what you want to do is say, okay, I'm going to put him out of my mind for today. And you get through today. And then you do the same thing tomorrow. And then you do it the day after that. It's what they talk about in the 12-step programs, because what you're doing is what they do in the 12 steps. You are overcoming an addiction. These relationships are highly addictive. So that's the way you need to treat it. You need to treat it like an addiction and like you're recovering from an addiction. And you do it one day at a time, and day after day after day, and eventually it builds up, and then you'll find yourself not thinking about them so much. So, but you can do it. It's time to put yourself first. So do that. Okay. So Nancy Elizabeth says, the ex would act nice one day with compliments, etc., and then a day later he's back to yelling out the mean insults when he's triggered, the complete opposite of the compliments, from pretty to ugly. Yeah, the good news is, I suppose, that you are definitely seeing the monster part. I hope you're away from this person. I have spoken to people who were married 10, 20, 30 years, and sometimes the sociopath could keep the charade going with their spouse because it was in their interest, because the spouse was providing them cover for this whole double life that they're having. I mean, everything else that they're doing. And they were so good at it that the spouse, although she knew that sometimes he was moody, or sometimes he just seemed to be having a bad day or would snap or something like that. They had no idea the extent of the deception that's going on. And that can happen. So if you are seeing the signs of disorder, pay attention and look closer, because maybe if you're only seeing a little bit, I mean, if you ever see anything that makes you go, huh, what was that about? I mean, really consider what's going on. But if you're definitely seeing someone who's acting like this guy, who's, nice one day and rotten the next, that's what it's going to be forever, so you might as well get out. Okay. Uh-oh. So she's saying, I became addicted to trying to please him to stop the abuse. I didn't know what was happening. Yeah. That's exactly what happens. Yeah, and that's part of the whole addiction phenomenon, is that it's the betrayal bond, and you feel, and a betrayal bond means that you feel this need to be around somebody who is harmful to you. And so one of the signs that you're in a betrayal bond is that you keep making excuses for him, and you keep trying to convert this person into not being an abuser. So what that means is that, there are some internal issues that you need to look at and to recover from. It can be done. We have webinars on Lovefraud that can help you. But the key is to recognize what this person is, understand that they will not change. If they're an adult, a sociopath does not get better, and to realize that you're responsible for yourself, and you need to make your own decision that you're not going to have this in your life anymore, or you're going to figure out a way to either get out or to disengage to the point where his behavior or the sociopath's behavior no longer affects you emotionally. So, okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I hope this was helpful. I appreciate everybody who has participated. And as I said, please go ahead and subscribe to Lovefraud Live, to this channel. And we'll see you again next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.